Hello, everyone. Welcome back into the Second City Hockey Ice Cold podcast. This is episode 17, August 2nd. We're back from another longer break. Again, we're in the summer, so not as much necessarily Hawks and hockey stuff to talk about in the summer. We might like more, but as always, Robert Zaglinski here, joined by my very uh, astute co-host Adam Hess. Adam, how are we tonight?
I guess I'm feeling astute. I don't. I feel
I
like
don't know, man.
astute is
I was thinking
like
of some kind of word. I was gonna compliment you in a different way, but I thought that was really appropriate. I don't know. I use words to be nice to people. I don't
I
know.
know, but astute isn't astute like a smart observation or something? I guess astute just means smart. So I guess I'm feeling. I appreciate the compliment. That's what I'm getting at here. I'm feeling astute tonight. I guess I'm
You know,
feeling. I'm feeling good. I don't know. I get married in 3 days. That's pretty cool.
oh yeah, you get married in 3 days. We'll talk about that, man. I want everyone to wish you congratulations
No,
and
I don't want anyone to wish me
getting your life started.
congratulations.
I want everyone to wish you congratulations that listens to this podcast and
Okay,
that interacts with you. I want them all to be very happy for you because I'm happy for you.
thank you.
But
I'm
anyway,
happy for me too.
anyway, let's get into some Hawk stuff. We have some stuff to talk about, and we'll get into a little bit of Twitter questions in general, pop culture at the end as always. Jimmy VC watch is probably the thing we should focus on the most at this point. Reports say, which are true, that the Hawks are on the short list for Jimmy VC. Stan Bowman has been noted as scouting Jimmy VC, the talented college forward, and uh, the Hawks are on a list with the Bruins, the Sabres, etc. We're not sure exactly of what he would necessarily bring to the table, given that he's a younger guy who doesn't have any NHL experience yet. But he could be this left wing answer they've been looking for, adding more depth overall to the lineup. Adam, what are your thoughts on the VC situation?
Um, I think my thoughts on the VC situation are best summed up by a tweet from Cheer the Anthem a couple weeks ago when he said the Hawks should sign Jimmy VC and immediately trade him to Carolina for Teuvo Teravainen. Uh, I Jimmy VC would be a nice addition for the Hawks. The only thing is, college signings have worked out for the Hawks in the past couple of years. In some respects, Trevor Van Riemsdyk has turned out to be a serviceable defenseman. I don't know, Tanner Kero, was he a draft pick or was he a college free agent?
I think Tanner Carroll was.
He might have been a
I'll look
draft
that
pick.
up while you speak.
But Kyle Bond is probably one of the prospects with, I would say, more potential to contribute at the NHL level. Maybe not higher upside, but it definitely has the potential to be a decent enough role player in the NHL. So guys like that have worked out. But then for every sort of college free agent like that, there's also a Drew LeBlanc, who won the Hobie Baker Award, gets signed by the Hawks, was supposed to be this big deal, and can't even hold his own in the AHL. So I think, as much as it is cool to hear that the Hawks are in the running for a top college free agent, I think that it's just, you can't get too worked up over it. If they don't sign him, it's not the end of the world. I think that he could be a solid addition. And, you mentioned answer to the top line left wing. I'm sure that would, that'd be nice. I don't see that immediately because he is a guy with no NHL experience. So that it's hard to immediately slide a guy into that kind of situation. It's hard to take a guy with no NHL experience, nothing outside of the amateur ranks, and put him on a line with Jonathan Toews and Marian Hossa, who are two of the best to ever do it. That's asking a lot out of a young kid, or I guess he's 23. But he's still, a young kid, especially by the NHL standards in terms of his experience. So, again, I think he'd be a solid addition. It'd be nice to have him. But if the Hawks don't get him, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it.
Yeah, and that's exactly the point. Because some people have been drawing comparisons that he's this answer, that he's going to have this meteoric rise as soon as he signs with the Hawks, like Brandon Saad. But Brandon Saad was 20 years old and a guy that fell out of the top 10 of the first round because of some kind of character issues, and the Hawks were quite frankly lucky to get him, and he was a much more talented player than VC, at least judging, but based off the first few years of Saad's career, he looks like a legitimate top line left wing. With VC, like you're saying, yeah, obviously no experience in the NHL. And the only thing that it would do is if he's even adequate up there with Taves and Hossa, or whoever's Taves' right wing, because we're not sure if Hossa will be up there, would be to spread guys more out through the lineup. If we're thinking, do the Hawks need to sign, if they don't get VC, do they need to sign a left wing? Do they need, or is this team, as currently constructed, good enough to win?
I would say the answer, do they need to sign a left wing? No, they obviously don't really need to do anything. They don't need, I don't know. It's hard. There's nothing that I think is a must do. I think that the top line left wing is certainly their biggest hole on the roster at this point in time, with having signed Brian Campbell. So I think if you can get a guy who can play the top line left wing, or just, add a guy who can play left wing, and maybe you slide Artemi Panarin up to that line, or to that top line. I think that would be a huge addition to the Blackhawks. We're kind of, in my mind, I think guys like Yuri Hudler is probably the first guy that comes to mind. I don't even know if he's been signed yet.
He has not been signed yet, and I think every day as every day goes by, I mean, he'll come pretty cheap. So
right, yeah. I mean, he's at a point now where he is going to have to take, maybe even a PTO. That, I'm not saying that, I'm not going to make any wild claim and say, oh, he's definitely getting a PTO, but he could end up just needing to take a PTO. He didn't take just a cheap 1-year deal. The Hawks have about $2.5 million in cap space right now, according to, I think it's Cap Friendly is what I was looking at when I did that. And I think that was without Kempny added to the roster. So consider about $2 million in cap space that they could work with to sign a guy like Yuri Hudler, or to add a Jimmy VC if they thought that he was the kind of answer that they're looking for. I think if they can add a left wing, that would be a huge addition. I think that is the biggest hole on this team at this point, because, you're pretty deep on the right, I would say, with Kane and Hossa. And, Nick Schmaltz can probably play the right wing on the third line. So I think the left wing is where you really need to attack, because, after Artemi Panarin, you basically have a whole lot of nothing, unless you consider Richard Panik something.
Or Andrew Desjardins, but Desjardins is a grinder.
I really don't consider Desjardins something, because he's like he's a fourth line guy.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so fourth line.
Not to diminish what he does.
I'm kidding.
He's definitely useful in his fourth line role, but I don't consider him. He's not an impact player.
Yeah, we're talking top six guys.
Right, you're kind of looking for a guy who can be a little bit of an impact player if you're going to add a left wing.
Hudler, talking about Hudler, he was traded from the Flames to the Panthers, who were looking for a deadline splash to push for a cup or push for some deep playoff run. He kind of disappointed. In Calgary 2 years ago, I think he had an 80-point season or a high 70s-point season, which was really off the trajectory of his career. And last year, I don't have it in front of me, but I believe he was in the 30s, and he's been struggling, not necessarily struggling of late, but he hasn't produced. But he's still only 32. This is a career 50-point player. He's always been a good two-way player. He won a cup in Detroit. For me, I don't even necessarily want VC, because VC probably won't make – if VC is a player, he probably won't make an impact for at least a year or two. I think Hudler fits in very well. He's not old. I wouldn't be necessarily mad with Radim Vrbata, even though Pat Foley and Eddie O probably lose their shit over that, the fact that he came back.
Yeah, I was going to mention Vrbata. I think a couple other guys. I was just kind of scouring a list here on my phone of some of the best remaining free agents. Sorry to cut you off. But, there's still Alex Tanguay who's available, who's not great, but could be a decent enough pick up if you get him on the cheap. Don't forget Thomas Fleischman is still available, and he's been here and seemed to click pretty well. Could slide in on the third line. Brandon Peary, former Hawk. Although I doubt
there's no
that's
way Q
definitely
brings
yeah, that's definitely probably a no go because Q hated him the first time. So I think Hoodler and Verbata are probably the two best available free agents that could kind of fill that left wing role. But yeah, I definitely think that that's a area of need on these Blackhawks still. And if it's VC, that's great because he's a talented, young guy. It's kind of funny calling him young because I think he's older than me.
23.
Yeah. I think he's older than me. That's funny. But yeah, he's talented. He's young. He is raw, so there's a lot of room for growth. But at the same time, he is 23, and this is with a lot of players. This is where you expect them to kind of be starting off their prime, and he's going to be starting off his career. So to expect him to be an impact player, like you said, right away is going to be, I think, asking more than he's capable of. Yeah, I think that I think if you sign VC, that's great, but I think you want to bring him in and immediately start him look to slot him on the third line as opposed to assuming he can just take over top 6 minutes.
Yeah, this will be a theme like that in like every conversation we have. Like this team, they have a ticking clock. Like they're looking to win another cup or whatever within the next 4 to 5 years before it all completely blows up and goes to shit. So, and before other players are getting raises. So they can't really wait on BC. And another note on him, I mean, he's 23, so he was beating up on guys that he was technically a year older than in his last season of college hockey. So I'm not sure how much we can necessarily evaluate off of that. I wouldn't be mad if they did sign him. Our buddy Aaron personally wants the Hawks to sign him, so he turns out to be and then he turns out to be a huge bust, which would really suck. But
I think
astute observation, Adam.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the biggest hurdle with VC would be that in order to sign him, you're going to, because the Hawks probably have limited bonus allocation money that they can give based on the CBA, what you're allowed to allocate in terms of bonuses on ELCs. I think he's going to have to be sold on, you can come into this team and play top 6 minutes on a contending team. Is that necessarily true based on his skill set and experience? I think the answer right now is leaning more towards no. It's such a big question mark that I struggle with being willing to just say, yeah, that can happen. I think that if you can get him and you want to play him as a third line guy, that makes a lot of sense. But if he's going to have to be sold on, you can come in and play top 6 minutes, then he's going to want to play top 6 minutes. And if he doesn't do that, he's going to be unhappy. And so I think that is going to be the biggest hurdle for the Hawks.
Whatever the regard is and whoever they bring in VC and Hoodler, I think the sense on VC is that he's going to stay home and play for Boston, considering that's where he went to college and school and grew up. Well, whoever they bring in, we have to agree that the Hawks forward group, as currently constructed, as we just said, is really, really thin. So being able to add a guy, as you noted earlier, to the top line left wing, I mean, then you have – okay, so let's just play around. So you have Hoodler, Taves, Hossa on the right. Your second line stays as last year, Panarin and Isimov, Kane. On the third line, you'd have Mott, Kruger, and Schmaltz. Is that what we're going with?
I think that's solid.
Mott, Kruger, and Schmaltz, and then Desjardins, Rasmussen, and Hartman. I mean, that's a much better team as opposed to not having the top line left wing. Then you might be thinking of putting Panarin with Taves. You might be thinking of moving guys up in roles that they might not be prepared for, like Mott or Schmaltz. I definitely think that the Hawks can win, can be a cup contender without this kind of answer, like Hoodler or VC or whoever. But I think it would be ill-advised to at least not make that attempt. And I think they're really in on Hoodler. If I had a gut feeling, and sources, which I have neither of the latter, I'd probably say they get Hoodler. But who knows?
I disagree that the Hawks, as is, are a Stanley Cup contender next season. To me, they're the third place team in the Central next year.
Wait, third place to who? Because Nashville's the favorite.
Behind Nashville and Dallas. Okay. And they're a third place team in the Central. And so they can be a cup contender if they can make a good deadline acquisition next year. Which, if they keep cap space, is definitely a possibility. If they keep that $2.5 million in cap space, as opposed to just trying to sign guys at cheap deals, that could be a possibility to maybe make an impact trade around the deadline. Otherwise, I don't think that. I think as is, even like an addition of Hoodler or Verbata, still the Hawks would still have a step to go to be on the same playing ground as Nashville, in my opinion. And
as Nashville, I think they're better than Dallas.
For me, I'm willing to say I think at this point in time, the Nashville Predators are my Stanley Cup winners prediction for next year. I just don't see a team better than them right now. And I think.
What about your Penguins, man?
They're not my Penguins, and the Penguins are gonna make a push next year, but I don't know. The Predators, that Subban trade, they probably have the best defensive core I can remember, and their forward group is very deep. And they just got Calle Jarnkrok, who's an extremely useful player on a very, very team friendly contract, and I think it's like 6 years, $2.5 million each year. That's incredible. I'm very jealous that they were able to get a guy signed to that kind of contract. And I think that they are. I think they're my favorite for next year, at least.
Not to completely derail the conversation, but let's just not discount that we hate the fact that PK Subban's playing for the Nashville Predators.
Well, it pains me to say. I think my Nashville Predators hate was pretty well stated on the last podcast when I said.
Yeah, but that was more outward. Now it's not. Now you're speaking in a more cold,
right?
Cold fashion, where we definitely know that you're very passionate about it. We know that it means much more to you.
I'm gonna internalize the hate and just say that PK Subban.
That's worse, man. You don't want to hold it in.
I mean, when I say internalize, I mean I'm gonna control it. I'm not gonna let it control me. I'm gonna say no. Predators hate. Get out of here. Talk unbiasedly because you're supposed to be a professional journalist.
All right. Moving on from that talk, let's move on to Prospect Watch. We've started our annual Second City Hockey Second City Hockey Prospect Watch Top 25 under 25. Other than your obvious guys like Panarin, who we already know is a superstar, but he's 25, and your Schmaltz and your Forslings and your Tyler Motts. Who's someone else that maybe is lower down the list that we should keep an eye on that might make an impact soon? In your mind.
So did you rule Polka out of this conversation? Because Polka's probably the most obvious answer.
I don't think he's underrated. I think he's been really hyped up, and he had this injury now where he's and then the Hawks signed Campbell and Kempner, and I think that kind of rules him out. I don't think he's underrated. I just think he's
right. No. Well, I mean, I didn't know that underrated was really the what's it called, the bearer or the standard here for what we're talking about.
Go ahead.
You just didn't name Polka, so I think Polka probably is the first thing that sticks out to me among guys who are potential, impact. I guess impact. We'll just say impact players for whatever that means for next year. I think Mark McNeil probably deserves a roster spot or roster shot, especially not spot but shot. I want to make sure that is clear because he plays a sort of Brian Bickle-esque game, and that's Brian Bickle pre-$4 million contract, not post-$4 million contract, where just kind of hard-nosed, gets in the corners, kind of does dirty work in front of the net, stuff like that, and is able to kind of get those greasy goals. That's what McNeil does. He's got that similar body type, so I think he could, if the Hawks are looking to have a Bickle type on the team next year, doesn't have an anchor contract, McNeil's probably their best bet. Luke Johnson, who they also signed out of North Dakota this year, kind of the other North Dakota player to Nick Schmaltz, is a potential guy who his ceiling is probably like a 3C, which, is fine because I think he was like a 4th-round draft pick or something like that. So he's basically doesn't have a whole lot of potential, but could be a guy that is sort of ready. He's ready for the pro ranks, definitely. Could be ready to kind of test the waters at the NHL level, potentially. If the Hawks aren't satisfied with what they're getting out of Kruger as 3C, Rasmussen as 4C, that maybe they probably try Schmaltz first in the center on the third line. But if they're looking to spice things up a little bit, maybe maybe Johnson can be that guy. And other than that, I think those are the two names that stick out to me as guys that are maybe not necessarily ready, but I think the closest to ready, or in my opinion, could possibly scratch the surface of the NHL next year.
So okay, I didn't specify the criteria. So we're saying guys that are that could potentially make an impact next year, not necessarily within any other set time frame. Is that what we're going with?
Yeah, I just think, yeah, McNeil. Like I said, McNeil can kind of fill a Bickle role, and Johnson has the game, the two-way play, the offensive skill set. He's not a Nick Schmaltz, Patrick Kane, or Temi Panarin, Teuvo Teravainen kind of skill guy, but he has decent hands, can pass well, has an okay shot from what I watched from him at North Dakota. So I think he could be a guy who, again, not necessarily a high ceiling. Like, I think ceiling is probably a third line center, but if the Hawks are looking to switch up or have injuries this year, he's a guy that could potentially see a call up and get some time on the main roster.
I think we can't forget Vinny Hinostroza, local guy Vinny Hinostroza. Sorry. Got to go with the Pat Foley voice. He's an undersized guy. He saw some time with the Hawks early last season. Obviously wasn't necessarily polished or ready yet, but I think he's got some nice offensive skill. He's definitely not Tanner Caro grinding, as he's more of an offensively talented player. He's kind of similar to Johnson, but obviously smaller, as the guy with the ceiling of the 3C. If the Hawks want to keep Kruger as the fourth center and like what they see from Hinostroza, this is a guy that could probably slot in with a young guy line of Mott and Schmaltz. I mean, I'm just saying necessarily keep an eye on him. We know he's not, again, like you said, he's not a high-end prospect like Teuvo or Panarin, but I mean, I think he can play based off all accounts. It's just that he wasn't necessarily ready in his time frame, or in a short time he spent up with the Hawks last year as a raw guy. So he stayed on with Rockford, but I think we should keep an eye on Hinostroza. As far as other guys on the list that probably next year, I don't know if we say DeBrincat. Is DeBrincat an underrated prospect?
I don't think DeBrincat is underrated, and at the draft, DeBrincat said that his expectation was that he would be going back to Erie next year, playing in the CHL.
Okay, never mind.
Playing his last year. I think he has one more year of eligibility in the CHL. I think next year will be his 18 to 19-year-old year, and then after that, he cannot play in the CHL anymore. So I think that is I think he's going to be there. I mean, maybe he shines in camp, and the Hawks say, "Hey, we would like to have your goal-scoring capabilities here." They do get 10 if they can have him on the roster and for up to 10 games. And if he plays a 10th game, it eats a year of his ELC. They haven't even signed him to an ELC yet, so if that even happens. Otherwise, they can send him back to the CHL after 9 games if they don't like what they've seen out of him so far. Okay. What you don't want to do is do what the Penguins did last year with Dylan Sprong or Daniel Sprong, which I've never seen asset management that I was so baffled by, where they kept Daniel Sprong, who they got a steal out of him in the second round of last year's draft. They kept him on the team for half of the season, and then they were like, you know what, go back to the CHL. They ate a year of his contract and didn't even keep him on the team the whole season. It was just incredibly bad asset management, in my opinion. So you don't want to do that with Alex DeBrincat, because you don't want to eat a year of his ELC, because he is a guy with a lot of upside. He's sort of similar to Daniel Sprong in that he's a steal in the second round. So you don't want to repeat that.
Well, whenever DeBrincat does come up, he'll definitely be an impact guy. This is a guy that scored 50 goals in back-to-back years in college.
The CHL, not
CHL.
College.
Sorry, my bad.
I got you.
As far as other guys on the list, let's just so pick one guy that you think could make an impact, not necessarily next year, but within the next 2 to 3 years? That's down list that we haven't mentioned. If you can rack your brain enough.
In the next 2 years or 2 to 3
Next
years?
2 to 3 years. Let's go that range.
To me,
maybe a little longer than that. Let's just say in general, pick another guy that you think will eventually make an impact by the end of this cup window.
Let's go with, I think, Robin Press.
Okay. Why do you say that?
I just think, he is a mobile defenseman, and that kind of fits what the Hawks do in need.
I appreciate the Swedish movement, and I really like bringing in Robin Norell. I think this is a mobile defenseman. Scouting reports kind of compare him to Johnny Oduya, and where he's not going to be this offensively gifted guy, but he's very agile and disciplined skater and uses his body well. He's still raw, so I think unless I'm mistaken, he's still playing overseas. But whenever he comes over to play the North American game, to play here, I see no reason where he can't slide into the lineup if all of the scouting reports go according to plan, and if the Hawks' defensive depth goes back to being garbage after Brian Campbell is gas completely runs out, and Brent Seabrook goes back to, I don't really want to disparage Brent Seabrook too much, but
I know. I love that we both picked Swedish defensemen.
Yeah, man. I think
that's like the Blackhawks niche.
That's the Blackhawks thing. Like we had 2 years ago, we had Hammer and Oduya, just the dominant shutdown Swedish defensive duo, and I think that's kind of brainwashed us. And you look around the league, like all the great Swedish defensemen, Victor Hedman, Hjalmarsson, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Erik Karlsson. I think the league's sort of moving towards that. I love the Swedes, man.
The Swedes are good. The Swedes are good. Except for David Rundblad.
Except for David Rundblad, which is a nice segue.
That's an important.
That's an important. It is an important conversation because
important asterisk to add to that conversation.
Very important asterisk to add to the conversation. David Rundblad was bought out by the Blackhawks.
No, not bought out.
Oh, not bought out?
They mutually agreed to terminate his contract, which is important.
That's not buying. Then what's buying out?
It's not buying out. Is the Blackhawks say, "Hey, we're done with you," and they buy him out, and they pay him out, and it counts as a cap hit. Mutual agreement to terminate a contract. His contract is just over. No cap hit, no money owed at all. Huh. So the Hawks kind of got out. They both got out of under a bad situation because the Hawks were due to pay him like $1 million, which having $1 million in cap space is better than having $1 million set up in David Rundblad and having to loan him to a team in Switzerland again. And then Rundblad gets out of a bad place because he clearly did not fit in this system. Q wasn't a big fan of him. He did not obviously develop into the player that Stan Bowman thought he could, and now he's gone. Why? And this is curious to me. Why don't you think? Because this isn't his first stop. He didn't work out necessarily in Arizona either. There's different questions there. Or Ottawa, or St.
Louis.
Ottawa.
Yeah, every stop he's been, but there. And I'm not going to name the specific people, but there's a segment of significant analysts and statistics people that just won't let it go. The fact that he has all these fantastic offensive numbers whenever he's on the ice or whenever he's deployed on the ice, and it just has to explain something that it's the coach's fault for not embracing him. I'm not gonna be the guy that says watch the game, nerds or whatever, but when you watch David Rundblad play, like he's Bambi on skates. This is a guy that messes up simple passes, is a complete liability in his own zone. He has a rocket of a shot from the point, but it takes him forever to wind it up. And I think people completely discount that. Like or the people that want to consider him this stats wonderkind. Is that a
wonderkind?
Wonderkind, yeah. I think people completely discount that. He's not an NHL player by any means. He's sometimes sometimes when there's actually something underlying, it doesn't mean anything. Like, we shouldn't read anything more into it. David Rundblad is not a good NHL defenseman.
I think the one level of, or I guess I don't know, the one I guess say, the one level of credence that I would give to the Quenneville impact on Rundblad not being a good player despite his stats showing he should be is, I think, with the expectations that Quenneville has of his defenseman, that's obviously very high. And I think, David Rundblad is a human being. And so even as an NHL player and as a professional athlete, he's still a human being. And so when he knows like there's that kind of pressure on him to perform, maybe that pressure gets to him, and that kind of leads to some of the jitteriness, leads to the messed up passes, leads to the tripping over himself, leads to taking 5 years to wind up his shot, even if it then gets to the net in a blink of an eye. I think that is a not. I want to say a point that is absolutely the explanation for David Rundblad's lack of success.
Because I think other stops. Yeah.
Right. I think there's some validity to that if you're going to make that argument. I haven't really seen that argument made. So I think that's the only level of validity to Quenneville negatively impacting Rundblad. But again, you talked about it. Like, you watch David Rundblad, and even if his stats are great, if you watch him, to me, watching him, I think, how in the hell are his stats that good? Because I just feel like he doesn't control possession at all.
At all. He's
right. He doesn't. And at least if the Hawks really did control possession at just an alarming rate when he was on the ice, I want to know how much of that he actually directly impacted, because I would venture to guess the number, like the percentage that he directly impacted, like shots based off his passes or shots that he took towards the net, was very low.
Yeah, completely without reference, I would venture to say that the times that he's deployed is when he's out there with the Taves line or with the Kane line or one of the Hawks top lines where they're able to dominate one side of the ice. I'll always remember David Rundblad. I mean, let's talk about our favorite David Rundblad memories. Let's talk about David Rundblad getting a start in Game 1 in Anaheim and being, in my mind, responsible for the first 2 goals in the Western Conference, in the 2015 Western Conference Finals. Let's always remember David Rundblad getting a Game 7 start against the Blues because the Hawks' defense was that thin. And I mean, let's just have a salute to the guy. I hope it works out for him wherever he goes. But like I said, like we've said, he's just not he's not fit for this league. Maybe if he ended up in a situation like you said, and this is the only explanation, where they would have been able to take their time with him and he could develop and gain experience, well, that there would have been a different story, that he would be this dominant defenseman that a lot of people supposedly think he is. But it didn't happen that way.
I think my favorite David Rundblad moment, this is a specific moment, not necessarily like, he played in Game 7 or played in this game, but I don't remember exactly who they were playing. I remember it was on the road, but there was a pass across the ice to him, set him up for a one-timer. It wasn't like in a good spot for a one-timer, so he kind of lets it go, tries to catch it with his skate, misses it. It ends up on the boards, turns around, tries to play it, ends up on his ass, and the puck went the other way, and the other team scored. And it was just like the epitome of a David Rundblad.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I think that might have been a conference final.
I don't think it was a conference. I'm pretty sure it was a regular season game, unless it might have been in the playoffs last year. But I just remember it being like the 2015 playoffs, because I kind of remember it being like in 2015.
It was definitely the Western Conference Finals. It was either that Game 1. I think it was.
That might have been it, actually. Yeah, it might have been against the Ducks. But I don't remember. Like I said, I don't remember exactly when it happened. But that was just one of my all-time favorite David.
He literally. I remember exactly what you're talking about. He had all the time to wind up his bomb shot, which of course he took forever to do.
Well, it was the pass in a bad spot though. That one I didn't blame on him, but then he completely mishandled the pass after it wasn't in a good spot to shoot, and then it ends up on the boards. He gets beat on the boards, ends up on his ass, and the puck's the other way, and they scored. And it was so David Rundblad of David Rundblad.
Oh man. I won't.
Can we
miss
stop
him.
talking about him? I'm kind of getting depressed.
I'm getting depressed. I won't miss him, but I will miss him, but I won't. I guess that's the best way to say it.
I'll miss the comedic relief.
The comedic relief, yeah. Well, the comedic relief while you're sitting on your couch, just absolutely terrified every time he's on the ice for your team.
Now we can count on Michael Roosevelt for that.
Oh, stop! That's Trevor Van Riemsdyk, dude. But
No,
that's a whole different thing.
Roosevelt's definitely worse than TVR, but
yeah,
moving on. Let's move on.
All right, because everyone wants to, I don't know, whine about this every year. The Hawks have 21 national TV appearances, the most in the league. Basically the same as last year. I think mostly the entire schedule is comprised of original 6 teams. Not really. There was talk of not showcasing Connor McDavid and Edmonton. This whole I don't know. I'm gonna call it nonsense. I get the fact that the schedule features too many original 6 teams. Like no one wants to see No one wants to see the Flyers and the Blackhawks all the time. But there's a reason, for example, why they're going to pick the Blackhawks, because this is still the league's most marketable or most popular team, Sidney Crosby and whoever else, your most marketable, your most famous players.
Right.
Adam, your thoughts on this?
Well, I think the inherent flaw in one of the things that you said no one wants to watch the Blackhawks play.
Well, yeah, because you're not going to market.
Well, wait, hang on. No, you said no one wants to watch the Blackhawks play the Flyers. The problem with that statement is that it's inherently untrue, because the Blackhawks and the Flyers consistently draw incredible national numbers when they're on national TV. That's why that game is on TV a lot. That's why the Blackhawks and the Flyers pretty much play a game on Wednesday Night Rivalry or whatever the hell it's called. And it doesn't make any sense that it's called that when it's the Hawks and the Flyers. But that's why they play a national game pretty much every year, because Philadelphia fans watch and Chicago fans watch. And it draws ratings for the NHL. It draws ratings for NBC. And that's what the NHL and the NBC are interested in. The NHL and NBC are a lot less interested in showcasing Connor McDavid for the world than they are for drawing ratings by putting 2 teams that draw good ratings on TV. Because the Edmonton fans aren't going to draw good ratings on NBC because they're in Canada. They don't watch NBC. So it doesn't do NBC or the NHL any good in terms of American NHL watchers to have Connor McDavid shown on TV. Yeah, he's really, really good, and maybe that convinces people to watch, but wouldn't you rather go with the sure thing of, yes, we know that people will watch Blackhawks Flyers, as opposed to maybe putting Connor McDavid on TV a couple times will get people to watch? To me, that just makes the most sense. It's the most. I understand why people are upset about it, but it's just business sense to me. And like I said, when we talked about the Winter Classic or the Hawks being in the Stadium Series not long ago, if you don't want the Blackhawks to be on TV, try telling your shitty hockey team to win some Stanley Cups. That's all I have to say.
Absolutely. And to me, it's hold on, I'm getting my train of thought. To me, it's hold on, I lost it because I was trying to think of it. No, we also have to figure that the affiliates that are most prominently featured on NBC are Comcast affiliates: Philadelphia, Chicago, San Jose. It has everything to do with marketing rights, and to me, marketing the league, this isn't need. It needs to be better. This is the 4th most popular sport in North America. It's not exactly a league or sport that's catered to everybody, that's popular to everybody, where everybody talks about it. It's a very niche sport, a niche sport. But this isn't the way that it's going to grow, in my mind. There are other issues that the league needs to focus on to attracting the better audience, because they're not going to move away from putting their big market teams that attract viewers. Like you said, it's business sense.
Well, right. It's the same reason why the Chicago Cubs have been, the Cubs and the Los Angeles Dodgers have, play on Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN more than any other team, because they have the most fans who watch the games, and ESPN and MLB make money off that. That's why the Buffalo Sabres, who aren't a very good hockey team, get a lot of NBC games, because their fans tune in, and the NHL and the NBC make money. The NHL and NBC make money off of showcasing those games. And that's what they're in it for. They're not in it to showcase Connor McDavid. That's the Oilers' job. And the Oilers' job is to get good enough that people want to watch them on TV. But right now, no one wants to watch the Oilers play on a national stage,
Right now,
even if they're playing the Blackhawks.
Right now, it's Connor McDavid and a bunch of, well, I won't say a bunch of other guys, but that's the most notable person. I mean, they're still an inherently bad team, and they wouldn't – it kind of derails the argument to say because the Sabres get so many games. But, yeah, like you said, the Sabres are really popular here in America and have a raging fan base, even if they're so bad.
Right. I mean, it just – again, I understand why people are sick of seeing it because, I mean, eventually you do get sick of watching the Blackhawks play all the time. Especially – well, I mean, okay, as an outsider, you know what I mean? We don't get – we're Hawks fans, so we really – like, if we're going sick of watching the Blackhawks, something's going incredibly wrong. Kind of like last year whenever we played Dallas, I just turned the games off. But but, you know, I lost my train of thought there. Shit. Oh, I got it.
Outside perspective.
Yeah, it's from the outsider's perspective, yes, it does get sickening to watch the Blackhawks, especially when you like over the past 7 years or 8 years, Blackhawks and NBC deep into summers as well because the Hawks have been making playoff runs. So then it looks, I mean, I think that sort of becomes a recency bias thing on other people's part where it's like, oh my gosh, the Hawks are always on NBC because they were also playing playoff games, which NBC just happens to hold the rights to. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so I think that that's where a lot of the annoyance comes from. And I understand it because, you know, as I think, I guess I don't really get as worked up about it, but like, you know, this year, you know, I'm a fan that the same thing happened to because I got sick and damn tired of the Golden State Warriors. Like, and you and I kind of debated about it. Like, you know, I was like, I'm sick of the hype. I'm sick of hearing about them. I'm sick of opening Twitter and, you know, seeing that Steph Curry had popcorn with soy sauce on it for lunch today because that's the level of coverage he's getting anymore. Like, I'm sick of them, and I was sick of hearing about them. So I am extremely, I shouldn't say sympathetic, but empathetic with people who are sick of watching the Blackhawks on NBC because I understand how it gets annoying to just see the same team shoved down your throat all the time, especially when you're a fan of another team or not a fan of another team and just kind of want to enjoy the sport in general.
It'll annoy me if we're applying it across all sports, but I just think that's never going to necessarily change. The number one team, or not necessarily the best team, but the most popular team, the team that's attracting the most attention, is the team that's going to be talked about the most across the respective leagues. Like the Patriots are reviled as this villain in the NFL, but they get the most primetime games. They have the second or best quarterback in the league. They have the best coach in the league. They're a team that makes the most deep playoff runs, and people hate them. But they draw huge ratings from the Boston crowds. They get three Sunday night games, 2 Monday night games every year. That's just kind of how it goes. And like you're saying with the Warriors, I can't empathize because it's business sense. And
right.
One day I hope my other teams will be like my other teams in other leagues will be that good to where they can be marketed in that fashion.
That's exactly what it is, though. It's just business. Like it's business sense. Professional sports are a business, and I think sometimes people kind of lose that in their fandom that it is a business. You know, like they're in it to make money. That's what they're in it for. They're not in it. They're in it for championships too, but they're in it to make money.
Did you know that
especially the league, you know, the league can't win. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off there. The league can't win the championship, so they're in it for the money. And NBC can't win a championship, so they're in it for the money. So that's why the NHL and NBC put the teams that draw the most interest, draw the most viewers, and make them the most money on TV because they're in it for money.
I read something that each of the first 13 or 14 of the 15 highest rated broadcasts in the NBA last season all involved the Warriors. And I'd be willing to bet that even if it was a hyphenated down year for the Blackhawks, I'd be willing to bet that that's pretty similar in the kinds of ratings NBC got for games that involve the Blackhawks. I mean, and you can apply that across other sports.
Well, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Hawks set viewership records for NHL Stanley Cup final game in 2010. Then that record stood until they broke it in 2013. And that record stood until they broke it in 2015. So the stats just don't lie there. The Hawks draw the most watchers, the most viewers, and that makes the NHL and the NBC more money. That's what it comes back to. And that's what it always is about, really, in sports media. That's why ESPN has a guy in Brian Windhorst whose whole job is to cover LeBron James. That's just what he does. They kind of guised it as Miami Heat reporter, Cleveland Cavaliers reporter. No, he's the LeBron James reporter because people want to hear about LeBron James, and that's why that's why Bleacher Report and The Score and
Darren Rovell and the Brain.
Right. That's why they're always talking about the Warriors, because the Warriors make money. The Warriors make money for other people, like for ESPN and other people. That's what it is. So the Blackhawks make money for the NHL and NBC. I'm starting to sound like a broken record because that's just what it comes down to.
That's exactly what it is. Like, there's not much else we can say about it. Like, we can empathize, but that's never going to change. Like, when and we're going to sound extremely biased whenever the Blackhawks are bad, and I don't know, 5 years from now, the Red Wings are good again. That's a joke, but the Red Wings are good again, and they're going to be on NBC all the time, and we'll complain about it. But that's how it works.
Right, exactly.
That perspective.
That's exactly what's going to happen. And again, and I said it kind of jokingly, but that's really the thing is, if you don't want the Blackhawks or Flyers or other teams on the TV all the time, other NHL teams need to step up, become better teams, sort of have runs like the Hawks, similar to the Hawks and Kings, because then that will draw viewership to them. And the NHL needs to work on its marketing and, not just targeting people who are already fans, but figuring out how to get, other people who aren't fans now, whether that be people who of different races, different genders, different, areas of the country. Right. It's just wherever. If you're
not a straight white male, it's not very appealing.
Right, exactly. So you kind of need to figure out how to tap into your women's market, tap into the black market, stuff like that, to get people to watch. I think that's on the NHL. That's the onus is on the NHL there. It's not on the NBC. I keep saying the NBC. It's not on NBC.
It's not on the TV network.
It's not on the teams. Right. It's on the NHL. The NHL has to figure that out. And
that's their branding problem.
And until they can figure out how to market all their teams to everybody the way the NBA or MLB or NFL does, they're going to be behind. And so they're just going to keep doing the same stuff because they're going to need to make the money that they need to make.
The only thing I would change about the national broadcast, because for 1 second, turn off my objectiveness. I'm going to enjoy watching all the 21 games. Okay, turn it back on. Is I would stop simulcasting games, because I guarantee some of these national games, instead of getting Doc Emmerich or instead of getting John Forsland, whoever, it's going to be Pat Foley and Ed Olczyk, and whoever the other team is. That's a problem, because the other fan base won't necessarily. Maybe that doesn't necessarily have to do with ratings, but that's a step in the right direction to move up your branding in a sense.
Even worse, to that point, even worse is that a lot of times Olczyk will probably be on the NBC broadcast when it's simulcast, so we'll get Pat Foley and Steve Conroy, and that's just,
oh my god,
that's a death sentence.
I hate the mouth vomit that comes from those kinds of broadcasts. But anyway, so let's not wrap things up. Well, let's get to our final segment. We have some Twitter questions and some general BSing. First one, Adam, have you caught any good Pokemon?
Yeah, I have. I was just going through my list. I was tweeting earlier. I was nicknaming a lot of my Pokemon after Blackhawks players. So here's some of the ones that I got. I don't know if you know Pokemon, but people who are listening may. So here's what I got. I have a Horsey that I named Marion Horsey.
God damn it!
Adam. I have a Porygon that I named Pory Crawford. I have.
I like it.
I have a Magikarp that I named Victor Svedberg. I think that's pretty.
Do you have any Pokemon that aren't named after
Blackhawks?
Yes.
Sure. I have a Starmie.
That are actually good.
I have a Starmie. Starmie's pretty good, but I did name it. I did name it after a Blackhawk. I named it Startemi Panarin.
Scott. Okay, please.
Then I have an Eevee that I haven't evolved yet, and I named it an Eevee Mauve.
I hate you so much. I hate what you choose to be.
And then I have a Rhyhorn that I named TVR Rhyhorn.
God, that was a reach, man. That is a reach.
Let's see. Let me pull up my Pokemon Go app here. See what else I got. I got a Hitmonlee out of an egg. I got a Ponyta out of an egg.
What's your best Pokemon?
My best Pokemon is a Vaporeon, and then my second.
Well, that's everyone's best Pokemon. I don't even play, and I know that's everyone's best Pokemon.
My 3 best Pokemon are the 3 evolutions. So I have a Vaporeon that's really good. Then my second is Flareon. Then my third is Jolteon.
Wait, they don't have Espeon in the game?
No, Espeon. It's only right now. It's only first gen, and those are the only
Espeon was
3.
second gen? I don't remember.
Dude, I'm about to catch a Pokemon right now. Check this out. About to catch a Nidoran.
I hate you so much.
Because you got me pulling up. This is your own fault. Stay in that Pokeball. Oh hell yeah! I
don't play, so this is a pro thing.
I just caught a Nidoran, but the girl version. Not that is bad. I need more of them anyway. Let's see what else I got here. Let's see. I don't play as much as I probably should. I don't really have anything good. I think I named all my good Pokemon. Got a Butterfree. Butterfree's pretty cool. Caught a Coughing. Caught enough Ghastlies to evolve to a Haunter. Looking forward to being able to get a Gengar at some point.
I'm not gonna shit on people's fun because I think it's a good app. I think it gets people moving around. I think it's a fun game to play, but I don't want to get into it because I would get addicted. So that's why I have personally taken a personal right not to play.
The other day, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off again. I keep cutting you off.
I love you. It's fun.
The other day, I was down in Naperville. My brother works down there. We were like visiting him at work, and then I went on a walk around Naperville because they have lots of good Pokemon. And I have a Fitbit, and like walking around Naperville for like an hour or so, I got in like 4,000 steps, and I reached my goal for the day because my goal is like 10,000. So I got to 10,000 steps. I was already at like 5,000 or 6,000 for the day because it was like the afternoon. But I got a ton of steps in and reached my goal, and it was only like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon at that point. So it definitely gets people going. I've seen on Twitter some people walk 10 miles in a day. The first guy to catch all of the Pokemon that you can get in North America, some guy in New York who because of his work he walks a lot. But he was able, he walks 10 miles a day, so he was able to just hatch eggs and got all the Pokemon by doing that. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's that benefit. I'll say, like I said, I don't play, but it's put the thought for me to reboot Pokemon Red, to reboot Gold. The thought. I haven't done it, but the thought's been in my mind. I can still appreciate what it's done for people. There are conspiracy theories that it has people looking down at their phones so they don't look at the chemtrails in the sky, but that's a different story.
It did get me to break out my 2DS and play Pokemon Y again.
So did it? I couldn't.
I play the Pokemon games,
man.
I play the Pokemon games when they come out. Like whenever it comes out, I play it until I basically have nothing left to do anymore. Like final legendaries, and then all I'm left doing is running around and just basically beating Pokemon for the sake of making mine good, which gets kind of boring. You can like battle people online, but I don't get super into that.
Can you battle people in Pokemon Go?
Yeah, kind of. You like if you own a gym, then you like some people can like battle it, but you don't really battle like one-on-one. They're adding a lot of stuff that you should be able to trade pretty soon.
You know what I might do? When they add the legendaries, because I know the legendaries aren't in there, so when they start adding in like Moltres and Articuno and Zapdos and Mewtwo, I'm in. I'm full in. But for now, I'll let you guys get your Pokemon fix.
Thank you. You playing Pokemon leaves more Pokemon for me. Or not playing Pokemon leaves more Pokemon for me.
I'm one person, Adam. It doesn't make that much a difference.
One less person catching Pokemon.
All right. You're going to be the very best. I can see that.
Absolutely.
Olympics opening up on Friday, opening ceremony on Friday. Olympic sport / athlete that you can't wait to watch if that's something you're into.
The Zika virus.
On a serious note, no, that's fine. I'll be looking forward to the athletes swimming in the hundreds of milliliters of fecal matter water.
I know, okay. That is just horrible.
Let's stick to the positive note, other than the fact that how bad the Olympics are going to be for the athletes and reporters and everyone that's involved in covering the events and in general.
Okay.
Something you actually want to watch, or some athlete you want to watch, Adam?
Okay, I really like watching the gymnastics because, both men and women, they're so talented and athletic. And
I only know Gabby Douglas. Who's a good man?
I don't know. I just watch it all. I don't know any names.
Oh, okay.
I'll learn names of the athletes. I just like watching that, the way they flip and twist and all that shit. It's like so fascinating, and it's like fast paced. A lot of like the Olympic sports are kind of more slow paced, harder to get into. So like the Olympics is fun because it is more, or the gymnastics is fun because it is more fast paced, even if it's just kind of like one person goes, then we wait for another person. I think the swimming can be fun. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing golf in the Olympics and seeing kind of how that goes. Not that like watching golf is particularly exciting, but a lot of the top golfers are not going out of fear of the Zika virus, such as Rory McIlroy.
Or swimming in fecal matter, but that's not the golfers.
That's not the golfers, right? So a lot of top golfers aren't going because of the Zika virus. So it'll be fun to kind of watch that, and then obviously, Team USA basketball is going to be lots of fun to watch, just because. That's
not that fun to watch because they blow everybody out by 50. That's not that fun to watch.
Right, but it's fun to watch.
Those are exhibitions.
It's fun to watch because it's almost like the Harlem Globetrotters, where it's just like it's all the entertainment value, man. It's all about seeing how much, like by how many points they can decimate the other team.
I will say, okay, for me, I do like the swimming. That sounds like a basic answer, but the swimming is always awesome. I think it's a little bit heightened by the fact that it's always a race, but to me, the most entertaining times that I've actually watched the Olympics in my lifetime were when like Michael Phelps was dominating. I think it was in '08 the first time where he won when he got all eight of the possible medals. That was awesome to see. I like the weightlifting because I'm a lifting bro. I think that's awesome.
You lift, bro?
I lift, bro. Yeah, I lift, bro. I've seen guys putting 600 pounds and 500 pounds over their heads and deadlifting and all that crap. The triathlon's fun to watch because of how versatile the athletes are. The rugby, even though it's a little lower level of rugby compared to like what you can see when it's like actually on ESPN once a year. Handball, because it's big in Poland, so I get involved in anything that I get involved for my country. So
I want to know how many sports are in, like, because like I feel like most
how
of the
many sports are involved.
Well, no, not how many sports are involved, but I want to know like about the sports that don't really get the TV coverage on NBC, because a lot of the sports I named are the ones that we get to watch. We get to watch the basketball, and we'll get to watch the golf and the soccer.
Yeah, they're gonna have like the big national ones, but
do they show handball on TV? Because I've never.
They don't show it on TV, but you can watch. There is an NBC stream where you'll be able to just.
Oh hell yeah!
Anywhere,
dude, but I'm about to be all in on Team USA handball.
They will actually, once the Olympics start, like. They'll be you do get to see each of the events. They are all on at some point in the day.
So it's kind of like the March Madness app, where on March Madness,
it's kind of like that. It's kind of like
you can just watch whatever you want.
But like you said, I think what you mean is the ones like swimming and basketball are the ones that are going to be featured in primetime on TV. Those
right, most easily accessible, where I can sit down on the couch and turn on NBC, and that's what I see, as opposed to having to break out my computer and watch handball. Dude, I'm about to be all in on Team USA handball, though.
Polish handball going all the way.
Where can I buy a Team USA handball jersey?
Are you really gonna go against me for this just because of Poland, man?
No, not Poland, dude.
We dominate handball.
USA. I'm all about Team USA.
God, I hate everything you choose to be, Adam.
Thank you.
Except for I don't.
That as a compliment.
That is a compliment. That is a compliment. You're right.
Is there even a Team USA for handball?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, why wouldn't there be teams Olympic?
Oh, another one that's fun to watch is beach volleyball.
Well,
that is fun.
That is advanced. Yeah, either side too, because especially when there's like a long rally. Yeah, I like it.
They're good. Anyway,
I'm looking at it. Yes, there is. Okay, yes, there is. There's groups. It's like World Cup grouping for handball. You have Croatia, Qatar, Denmark.
I don't need another group. Just Team USA, all the way. We got to move on. We're running.
Hold on. Team USA is not involved in handball, so suck it.
Is Germany?
Yes, damn it.
Hell yeah, Germany.
And you guys are in Poland's group. I hate you.
Deutschland.
I hate you. Okay. How do you like your steak?
On a plate.
What's that?
I like medium.
You like medium, my man? I hate the people that want like too much red and want a medium rare. You can't chew it. Yeah, that's we don't need to go into more on steak. Meat is good in general, so I'm not going to trash too many people's meat opinions. National Park birthday, 100 birthdays, August 25th. What's your favorite park and why? One you go to the most?
I don't think I've ever been to a national park.
I think there's Starved Rock.
I'm going to Starved Rock this week. Is that a national park?
I think that's a national park.
Okay, then Starved Rock is my favorite.
Is the Grand Canyon a national park?
Oh, Grand Canyon is totally a national park. But
I don't go to it the most, but I would say that's probably my favorite.
I've never been there. I don't know.
Obviously, I don't live in Arizona. Yeah, it's Arizona.
Question asker. That is a unique question that I am ill-equipped to answer.
Yeah, we're in Illinois, man. It's pretty boring. There's not much here to see. There's not much.
Next.
Finally, Suicide Squad, man. This really hurts you. I know this really hurts you, Adam. Getting shit on by critics. You're still going to see it though, and I'm probably still going to see it. But I gotta say, it's a little disheartening that DC can't really seem to find a rhythm to make these kinds of movies coherent. Because I think that's the general consensus I got from reading a few reviews.
I think I haven't read any reviews. I was at work all day, so I didn't get a time to sit down and read reviews. But I did see a lot of headlines call it a mess, a disaster. But then I was told. One of my buddies told me, I thought he said IGN, but then someone corrected me on that because IGN gave it a 5.9. But somebody told me that one website gave it a 9.9. I saw that IMDb gave it a 9.6. I saw forget where one place gave it a 4 out of 5, which it's 80%, but that's still pretty good. So I feel like this is one of those movies that people are either loving or hating. And so I think just knowing my personality and knowing that I want to love it, I'll probably end up loving it.
Knowing that you're a contrarian, you'll be really
well, that too. I mean, I wouldn't even say contrarian. I think a lot of times, truthfully, I don't read movie reviews, not because they aren't correct, but because I would rather go watch a movie and decide, okay, I liked that movie or I didn't like that movie, than read a movie review and think, oh God, this movie's going to be bad and not go see it. Or go in to see it with the mindset of this is going to be bad. Because I think I get controlled kind of by like if I see an agenda or something like that, or if I see an opinion, I can tend to be controlled by it. So I want to be able to like create my own opinion of it.
I get that.
So I want to that's like with BVS. Even when the reviews were bad, I was like,
You're the only one that liked it.
I really don't care about the reviews because I want to go see it and see if I like it. And if I don't like it, then I won't like it. And again, I've said it before. BVS by no means is a great movie, but I just like it because I find it entertaining. And so it's like for me, I like it. I think it's a good.
No,
movie,
I can appreciate that.
I mean, and the thing is, look, every movie critic, I think that DC is fighting an uphill battle in doing.
That's mostly their own fault.
Right. It's definitely their own fault. They're fighting an uphill battle with this DCU because of the fact that they're having to go against the Marvel Universe and Marvel's continued excellence. And I think the biggest issue is I think that when people go into a superhero movie, they almost expect a Marvel-esque movie. You know what I mean?
Because they've set the standard.
Right.
Like
they've set this. Actually,
they
have set the standard, and they control the market of superhero movies as well. The only small issue with that, as a comic book fan, is that DC and Marvel, even in the comic books, are just so different from one another. DC does kind of have that darker, more serious vibe, not necessarily to the Man of Steel BVS doom and gloom level that Zack Snyder devolved it into, but they are just a little more serious, whereas the Marvel ones are more colorful, kind of more playful a lot of times. So I think that to me, the reason that I liked BVS, kind of like Man of Steel, and I still think I'll like Suicide Squad, is that in reality, it's pretty true to the comics in terms of the tone, what the characters are like, stuff like that. I mean, obviously, Batman deciding not to kill Superman because they both have a mother named Martha is, a crock full of shit that makes zero sense. And I'll be the first one to admit that Like, to me, the only defense I have for it is that, oh, well, I guess Batman kind of saw Superman as a human being now instead of a monster. So it makes sense now because he doesn't want to kill him because he's a human being. But it's still, there's a million different ways to get there, and you don't have to do it because they both have moms named Martha. Fuck that. And Zack Snyder is dumb for that. And so, I can talk bad about BVS too, but I think my larger point here is they're pretty true to the comics. And so I think if you're expecting a Marvel-esque movie out of a DC movie, you're going to be disappointed no matter what, because that's not what you're going to get because they're so different.
I think, and like I said earlier, what the criticisms that I were reading from these reviews, it was not that they were expecting necessarily a fun or joy-filled movie on whatever tones Marvel has. It's that they aren't coherent, and that's that there isn't much character development. I read the review from Vanity Fair. Supposedly, the main character, or like based off of screen time and how much background he gets, is Will Smith's character, Deadshot, and he's the one that's most featured probably on screen, followed by Harley Quinn. But everyone else is sort of just treated as background characters, and I think that's and to sort of have a segue off of that, I think that's part of the overall problem that DC has had with its movies so far. They had if you're trying to make the competitive excuse with Marvel, they had 4 years in between Iron Man and the Avengers to develop their own characters and have their own setup movies for everything before throwing Batman as Superman out, before throwing Suicide Squad in, and even in the context of Suicide Squad, they could, like, from the criticisms that I'm seeing, they could have focused on the other characters and given them more time, and that seems to be the problem overall. Character development shouldn't be something that's exclusive necessarily to the tone of DC Comics or Marvel. Character development is just good storytelling, and that seems to be something that they overall lack.
Right. That is absolutely a valid point. I think, again, without having seen the movie, I can't really defend it and say, oh no, I did that. I think the only sort of explanation that I would give for why there might be a lack of character development is because, number one, how many characters are in the Suicide Squad movie? If you spend so much time developing each character, you run out of screen time to tell an actual story about the characters. You know what I mean? You can't just keep developing Captain Boomerang, because if you're just giving Captain Boomerang's background story, you're not going to tell the story of what Captain Boomerang is doing in this movie, because the movie is in the here and now. And so, if it's, and maybe background story is a bad interpretation of that, but you do also sort of need protagonists and supporting characters, and you can't really develop the story of every single character, the whole time. I look for example, you bring up Iron Man. For me, a character that I never really felt like there was a whole lot of character development for in Iron Man's movies was whoever his bodyguard was. That I can't even remember his name off the top of my head. But the kind of the bigger white guy in Iron Man 2, who he's just kind of there, and you just accept that that's what he is. And so with the Suicide Squad, maybe that's a bad example because they're supposed to be the Suicide Squad. It's supposed to be this group of supervillains because it is Captain Boomerang and Enchantress and all these people. But I think that when you have so many characters, it's hard to develop each and every one of them and still tell a story. So you do need to develop your protagonists. You have Margot Robbie and Will Smith, who are easily your two most well-known actors that are playing major roles in the movie. So you do kind of want to move forward with them probably as your protagonists. And if you lose character development on the other characters because they have to kind of play supporting roles, I think that is in a lot of ways, I don't know. It kind of makes sense. Because there have to be sacrifices made, I think, sometimes, if you're still going to tell a story outside of just developing characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, not to move too forward with this debate, but to me, the Suicide Squad, and I don't think I'm wrong in saying this, it's a superhero team or super villain team that most people really aren't that familiar with in, say, comparison to the Avengers or Justice Leagues, your two top superhero teams, two top assembled casts. So it would kind of serve them to at least tell them why Killer Croc are there, why Captain Boomerang are there. You don't necessarily have to devote all this extra time and this isn't necessarily just speaking about Suicide Squad in general too. I mean, like people knock origin stories for Batman and Superman, but that's kind of what made all the original successful Marvel movies as well either, been and having successful origin stories that were fun and that did it in a different way. I'm not sure how much you could shift it around for those guys, but that's how it works. And they're about to release, and they're going to release the Justice League movie before they have a Flash movie, and before they have a Wonder Woman movie, and they didn't. And
Not before the Wonder Woman movie. Wonder Woman is spring of next year. Justice League is November next year.
okay, so they're gonna, and then I'm okay. So, and whoever's going to be in that cast, like, it just makes more sense to me. Yeah, and especially with Suicide Squad, like I'm saying, like I'm not familiar with most of the characters. I know Killer Croc, I know Harley Quinn, but I don't know who the hell Deadshot is. I don't know who Captain Boomerang is.
Right, and I agree with that, but I think,
like I'd at least like to know who they are. I mean, at least like to know why this random character who has some superpowers is just standing there.
Right. Yeah, I think that I just think that it's hard to develop lots of characters in a movie, and when you have a compilation, sometimes you do like a group of characters like they do where they're all supposed to kind of be the main characters. Okay, so just for example, you mentioned like the Avengers. They developed all those characters by giving each Avenger their own movie. The Suicide Squad it's a Suicide Squad movie, so they're giving us all these characters now. So the character development of the Avengers happened before the Avengers, and the character development, even the character development of like guys like the Flash and Wonder Woman, is happening before the Justice League because the Flash is scheduled to have a cameo in Wonder Woman. And I mean, if you saw the trailer, Justice League Part 1 looks like there's going to be a lot of development before they're actually the Justice League, like Bruce Wayne recruiting the Flash and Cyborg and Aquaman into the clan or the League, if you will. And so there will be some development to that. So I just think when you have so many characters, it's hard to develop. But I would like to read, if I may, one review that I found that I thought was good, which was from USA Today's Brian Truitt, who the headline is "Suicide Squad finds sincerity in insanity," and he just talks about how the over the topness of it and sort of the lack of cohesion to it is a benefit to the movie because of what the Suicide Squad is, because the Suicide Squad is like the anti-hero. So this is sort of like the anti-hero movie. And so his close to the article is, but compared to its ilk, Suicide Squad is an excellently quirky, proudly raised middle finger to the staid superhero movie establishment. And so I think if like the Suicide Squad is a group of bad guys trying to do a good thing. So they're like the superheroes who aren't a superhero. And this is the superhero movie that isn't a superhero movie. So I think if it moves away from some of the things that we expect of a superhero movie, that's kind of a good thing because it fits what they're doing within the movie. You know what I mean? It fits a whole theme of what the Suicide Squad is.
I get that, Adam. I get that.
Yeah, I think again, I'm not going to say
you're passionate. You want this movie to be good. I get it.
No, I do want it to be good. And I'm not just going to like blindly defend it. If it's not a good movie, if I go see it and I think it's not a good movie, I'll say it's not a good movie and I'll say I don't like it. I'm confident that I will like it just because I'm a DC nerd and I'm excited about this universe. And I do want to like it. But I just think. Yeah, I just think that we have this expectation of what a superhero movie is supposed to be, partially because of Marvel, partially DC kind of played its own role in that with what the Dark Knight trilogy was, and so I just think that if and not say that people people need to be more open minded, but don't expect it to fit the mold of what you want. Let the movie stand on its own, and he says, this movie finds the sincerity of it because of the fact that it's so different from other superhero movies. This movie is able to stand on its own by being different. So let a movie stand on its own, and don't try to like fit it into the DC shoehorn. Don't try to fit it into a Marvel shoehorn. Let a movie be a movie. You know what I mean? And just like as much as it fits within the whole timeline, let it stand for itself and tell its own story, and don't expect it to, meet exactly what you're looking for. And be, don't expect it to fit a mold, because no movie's going to fit a mold, and no movie should fit a mold, in my opinion. Okay, and sorry, I'll just say one more thing. There are parts of the movie that should be there, like character development should be there. So if that's lacking, that's obviously a minus for the movie. But the movie is allowed, like the directors, the producers, the writers, they're allowed to kind of have a vision for what they want to do, and then figure out the best way that they want to do that. And so if that, if by sort of being quirky and giving up on character development is the way David Ayers and company wanted to do the Suicide Squad, then that's how they wanted to do it. That was their vision, and that's the story they told. And so why can't we appreciate it for that, at least, as opposed to it's a mess? You know what I mean?
Speaking of David Ayers, I read a fantastic article from Polygon, and I'm pretty sure it's shared across all media. Adam, I know you know what I'm talking about. You're definitely that guy. You're the guy that shouts in the theater, "Fuck Marvel," right? Or
no, not at all. I like Marvel too. I like the Marvel movies.
I'm just kidding. I know. Suicide Squad comes out on Thursday, so everyone will be, or midnight Thursday.
Officially comes out on Friday.
Officially on Friday. So we'll either be able to tell the critics are wrong or be able to laugh in your face again. But I'm pretty sure you're going to like it either way. Adam, that's why we appreciate your opinions sometimes. Not
Sorry
all
that
the time,
I get
sometimes.
and I get worked up. I'm a passionate person.
You get worked up. You're a passionate person. That just about does it for this episode of the Second City Hockey High School podcast, following Adam passionately defending one of his favorite universes. I'd just like to take this time, since next time we record, whenever that'll be, Adam, you're getting married on Saturday, and I want to congratulate you, man. I want to congratulate you publicly.
I'm getting married on Friday.
On Friday? Sorry, this weekend. Whatever. Either way, it's happening. That's awesome, man. Really happy for you. If I could send you a gift, I would. Some kind of cheap bottle of wine or something.
I'll text you my address.
Okay, then I'll do that. I will send you a cheap bottle of wine. I hope you enjoy it, man. And to
send
happiness. Is that what I don't know what you say to people on weddings. I haven't had a friend yet that's
live long and prosper.
Live long and Fuck you, man. God,
dude, look at I'm doing the thing too.
He's doing the Vulcan sign. Everybody, this is the man. This is the man I consider a friend. But anyway, yeah, congratulate everyone. Everyone else, if you interact with Adam on Twitter or any other platform, congratulate him.
Please email me.
One of his happiest moments, and it'll especially annoy him, but he deserves it. He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
If you want to send me are you serious? If you want to send me 6 packs of zombie dust,
that'll probably be the best wedding gift for him. Send him 6 packs of zombie
follow
dust.
me on Twitter, @me. I'll DM you my address so you can send me zombie dust.
Anyway, that's the thing that's happening. Next time we record, Adam is a married man, and he'll officially have left being a bachelor behind and all that. But a nice life waits him ahead. For our general promotions crap, follow me, not crap. Okay, whatever. Follow me on Twitter @RobertZaglinski. Follow Adam @_Adam Hess. I finally have those down pat. We have our entire prospects wrap this month, top 25 under 25. We mentioned that earlier in the podcast. Series on the Central Division, some previews on that. We're getting ready to get back up and going to the season. It's been a long summer, but we're getting it rolling. Adam, anything else you want to add as you get married and as you move on through this and all that? No? Okay. Well,
nothing. I have nothing for you.
This has been the Second City Hockey Ice Cold podcast.
How much longer till hockey comes back?
2 months, man.
All right. That's all I have. 2 months.
2 months. This has been the Second City Hockey Ice Cold podcast. For my man Adam, this is Robert Zaglinski signing off. Stay classy, everybody.